When someone is vicious toward you, they are giving you a glimpse of the pain they carry in themselves. Ever been in a room full of people and suddenly, boom, someone throws a jab at you out of nowhere? A slick comment, a backhanded compliment, a sarcastic joke that stings just enough to make everyone laugh. But deep down, it burns. Yeah, that wasn't just a joke, that was a test. And my friends, too many of you have been passing those tests by staying silent. Too many of you are sitting there pretending it didn't hurt, laughing it off like it's fine, while your spirit is silently screaming, "Why do they always do this to me?" Hey folks, imagine this. You're standing in a coliseum, but it's not ancient Rome. It's your workplace, your family dinner, your group chat, your classroom. You didn't walk in to fight. You were just showing up, being you. But suddenly, without warning, someone steps forward and throws you to the ground, not with fists, but with words. And the crowd watches. Some laugh, some stay silent, but no one stops it. Why? Because humiliation for toxic people is entertainment. It's performance. It's control. And if you don't know what's happening, you start thinking, maybe you deserve it. Let me break that lie right now. You don't deserve it. You were never the problem. You were just the mirror. See, toxic people hate seeing someone who carries light they've buried long ago. Your confidence? It reminds them of their fear. Your kindness? It makes them feel exposed. Your progress? It screams in the face of their laziness. So what do? They don't rise. They reach up to pull you down, not in private, where they can be called out, but in public, where your reaction is on display. And that's the game. They want your reaction. They want to see you shrink. They want to see your smile fade, your voice crack, your presence dim, because if they can make you small, even for a second, they get to feel big. But my friends, here's the truth that Stoicism teaches us. Nobody gets to decide your worth unless you hand them the pen. You can't control who throws the punch, but you can choose whether you drop the crown. Marcus Aurelius said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That means no matter what they say, what they joke about, or how many people they try to turn into spectators, you don't flinch, you don't fold. You stand tall, because your value was never up for debate. But I know what you're thinking. It's not that easy. What if I speak up and they laugh more? What if I walk away and look weak? Here's the truth. The moment you set the boundary, you stop playing their game. And when you stop playing, they stop winning. That's when the silence turns into a weapon. That's when your dignity becomes untouchable. And that's when they start to feel the sting of your absence more than they ever enjoyed your presence. This isn't about being cold. This is about being clear. It's not about being loud. It's about being unshakable. You don't need revenge. You don't need the last word. You need to remember who you are and never let them make you forget it again. So if you're ready to protect your peace, claim your worth, and walk through fire without losing your crown, then stay with me. We're just getting started. Comment below. I rise above. Write it. Own it. Show the world that you're done being their punchline. And if you're ready to stop shrinking and start rising, like this video, tap subscribe, and let's walk this path together. Number 1. They humiliate you because they need an audience to feel powerful. The man who needs a crowd to feel tall was never standing on his own to begin with. Let's call it what it is, a performance. Public humiliation, my friends, is rarely random. It's crafted, planned, it's theater. And the toxic people doing it? They're not just trying to hurt you. They're trying to entertain others while doing it. They don't just want to wound you privately, they want to win over a crowd while they do it. Why? Because humiliation loses its sting in silence. It only works when others are watching, nodding, laughing, or, even worse, staying silent out of fear. They want the sting to echo. Imagine this. You're in a meeting, maybe at school or among friends, and someone calls you out, loud and slick, turns a small mistake into a public mockery. People chuckle, some look away awkwardly. You feel your stomach sink, your chest burns, and your brain asks the question on repeat. Why would they say that in front of everyone? But deep down, you already know. It wasn't about you. It was about them needing you to be small so they could look big. You were the unwilling stage, the spotlight they couldn't earn on their own. See, the toxic person doesn't humiliate you because you're weak. No, they do it because you're visible, because you matter, because you hold space that they don't know how to hold for themselves. And when someone's drowning in their own insecurity, they don't ask for a hand. They pull others down for air. The crowd isn't just there by accident, it's their fuel. Without it, they're powerless. With it, they get to pretend they're strong. Marcus Aurelius warned us, the approval of 10,000 men is meaningless if none of them know the truth. And that's what most people don't realize. Those who sit and watch, those who laugh with the bully or say nothing when they should speak. They're not authorities on your worth. They're just background noise. And yet, we let their laughter slice us. We let their silence feel like betrayal. We let that moment become something bigger than it should be. Why does it hurt so much? Because part of us believes it. That's the ugly truth we don't want to admit. If someone says something cruel in front of others and it hits us like a punch, it's because a part of us fears it might be true. And that's the part they target. They don't shoot blindly. They aim. They look for the softest part of your identity, and they throw the comment like a spear. But here's where we break the lie. Their spotlight is not your truth. Their laughter is not evidence. The crowd's reaction is not a judgment on your value. It's a test of theirs, and most fail it. Stoicism doesn't ask you to be numb. It asks you to be anchored. It's not about having no feelings. It's about not letting feelings drive your worth. When someone humiliates you publicly, you might feel rage, shame, confusion, but that doesn't mean you respond with the same. A Stoic doesn't match chaos with chaos. They match it with clarity. You don't flinch. You don't beg. You don't defend your worth like it's up for debate. You look at them, not with fire, but with stillness. The kind of stillness that says, you don't have the power you think you do. Yes, it's hard, because we're wired to fit in, to be liked, to not cause a scene. But what if protecting your dignity is the scene that needed to happen? What if saying nothing isn't noble, it's just convenient for the bully? What if the moment you stop giving them the audience they need, they lose the stage? Some of you have spent years carrying wounds that came with applause, jokes they made at your expense, laughter that haunted you for nights. But today, it ends. Today, you remember who you are and who you're not. You're not a puppet. You're not a prop. And you're damn sure not their stepping stone. So the next time someone tries to humiliate you in front of others, remember this. Their performance ends the second you stop being the stage. Let your silence say what your soul already knows. Let your stillness be louder than their noise. And walk away, not as a victim, but as a force too powerful to play their game. Comment below, I will not shrink. Let them see it. Let yourself see it. Let the world around you feel it. Because what's coming next in this video It's not just advice. It's armor. Stay with me. Number 2, they're deeply insecure, and you're their mirror. What you hate in others is often what you refuse to heal in yourself. Let's be clear, when toxic people humiliate you, it's not always because you did something wrong. In fact, sometimes it's because you did everything right. You walked into the room with quiet confidence. You spoke with purpose. You didn't need to scream to be heard. And without even trying, your presence became a mirror that reflected everything they abandoned in themselves a long time ago. Here's what they'll never tell you, but I will. Your light makes them feel exposed. Your calm makes their chaos obvious. Your growth highlights their stagnation. And instead of doing the hard work to rise with you, they strike. Not because you're weak, but because they are. Not because you're flawed, but because your strength is too loud for their insecurities to ignore. It's a hard truth, my friends, but one you need to hear. The person who tries to cut you down in front of everyone isn't trying to correct you. They're trying to quiet the voice in their head that says, "You'll never be like that." So they humiliate, they mock, they belittle. Because if they can make you look small, maybe, just maybe, they won't feel so small themselves. Imagine this. You're a flame, burning steady, not trying to outshine anyone, just existing, just being. But they're drowning in darkness, so when they see you, instead of building a fire of their own, they try to blow yours out. And if they can do it in front of an audience, even better, because now they get validation. Now their insecurity has a cheerleader section, even if it's fake, even if it's fleeting. Psychologists have a name for this: malicious envy. It's not the kind of envy that motivates people to improve. No, this one corrodes. It twists. It fuels something uglier. Schadenfreude, the joy they feel when they see someone stumble. It's the smirk they wear when they interrupt your moment. The fake laugh they force after turning your win into a joke. The satisfaction they get from watching your confidence flicker. But Stoicism offers us a different view. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Toxic people who try to humiliate others in front of everyone aren't showing strength. They're exposing their emptiness. They crave validation because they lack self-worth. They crave control because they have no self-discipline. And they crave your fall because your rise reminds them of the work they never did. Now, it's easy to take their words personally. It's easy to replay the moment over and over again. Did I do something to deserve that? Should I have said something different? Why do they hate me? But let me break the lie right now. It's not about you. It's about what you trigger in them. You didn't cause their insecurity. You just refused to dim your light for it. And that's where your real power lives. Not in fighting back, not in matching their petty energy, but in refusing to let their brokenness redefine your truth. You don't have to feel pity. You don't have to feel anger. What you do need is clarity. Clarity that says, "This is not mine to carry." Clarity that separates their projection from your identity, because if you don't, you'll start to dim yourself just to keep others comfortable. You'll start to shrink in rooms you were born to stand tall in. And that's not your job. Your job is not to make insecure people feel secure by being less than who you are. Your job is not to play small so fragile egos can feel strong. Your job is not to apologize for the way you carry yourself, for the peace you've earned, or the light you walk with. Your job is to keep shining, even if it blinds them. So the next time they humiliate you, remember, it's not a reflection of your weakness, it's a spotlight on theirs. Stand tall, let the silence do the talking, And if they crumble under the weight of your presence, that's their battle, not yours. Comment below. I won't dim down. Write it, prove it, show them, show yourself. Show the world around you that their insecurity will never define your identity. And stay with me, because in the next section, we're going deeper. You'll see how some of them know exactly what they're doing, and they use humiliation as a tool to dominate, but not anymore. Number 3. They know you don't know your worth yet. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. This one cuts deep, not because it's cruel, but because it's true. The reason some people humiliate you, mock you, test you in public over and over again is because they can see something in you that you haven't yet fully owned. You don't know your own worth, and in their twisted logic, that makes you fair game. To them, if you don't defend your dignity, you must not value it. So why should they? My friends, listen closely. Toxic people have radar for uncertainty. They sniff out hesitation like wolves smell fear. And it's not because you're weak. It's because they've been doing this long enough to recognize when someone doesn't see their own reflection clearly. You walk into a room doubting your value. They feel it. You second-guess your words, your right to take up space, your ability to say no without guilt. They feel it. And then, like clockwork, they strike. Think of it like this. You're a house with no locks. The lights are on, the furniture is there, the space is beautiful, but the front door is wide open. And when someone walks in uninvited, you're not even sure if you're allowed to ask them to leave. So instead, you clean up behind them, you smile, you act like you're grateful they even noticed the house at all. That ends today, because here's the truth, no one told you growing up. Knowing your worth is not arrogance, it's survival. And until you know it, deep in your bones, you'll keep attracting people who mistake your silence for permission. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself. Not master of the world, not master of other people, master of self." That means knowing who you are even when others try to rewrite your story. That means refusing to let someone else's low opinion of you become your identity. And yes, it means standing alone sometimes, especially when you're surrounded by those who benefit from your confusion. You've probably asked yourself, why do they always single me out? Why am I the one people mock or correct or laugh at? And the answer is brutal in its simplicity. They think they can. They see that you haven't fully drawn your line, that you hesitate to speak, that you still seek approval, or at the very least, want to avoid disapproval. And they use that hesitation like a weapon. But let's break the lie. Being unsure of your worth doesn't mean you don't have any. It just means you haven't looked hard enough yet. It means you've been walking around with priceless value and treating it like a clearance item, hoping someone else will come along, notice, and name the price for you. No, that's not how this works. Worth isn't given, it's claimed. You have to stop waiting for someone to crown you with respect. You have to stop hoping someone else will speak up for you, stand up for you, validate your space in the room. That's your job. And once you do it, once you say enough, once you decide, I matter whether they clap or not, the whole game changes. You'll notice something strange. The ones who used to joke at your expense, they go quiet. The ones who loved pointing fingers, they hesitate, because now you see yourself. And that means their tactics don't land, their insults don't sting, their manipulations don't confuse you, because they're playing a game you're no longer signing up for. It doesn't mean the world suddenly becomes kind. It means you become unbreakable. Because the deepest power you'll ever have is knowing exactly who you are and never needing someone else to remind you. So, from now on, when someone tries to humiliate you, when they make that slick comment or drop that jab in front of a crowd, you don't crumble. You don't laugh to make them comfortable. You don't shrink so they can feel tall. You look at them, not with fire, but with knowing. The kind of knowing that says, "You thought I didn't see myself, but I do now, and you can't touch that." Comment this now. I know who I am. Let the world see it. Let the old you feel it. Let the ones watching feel it too. Because in the next section, we're going to expose what they fear the most. When humiliation is no longer working and you begin to take your power back in silence. Stay with me. Number 4. They are addicted to control, and humiliation is their favorite tool. He who controls others may be powerful, but he who has mastered himself is mightier still. Let's stop sugarcoating it. Humiliation isn't just a slip of the tongue or a bad joke. It's a tactic, a psychological move, a weapon. And for toxic people, it's often their sharpest blade. They don't humiliate you by accident. They do it to gain something: control. Control over your mood, control over the room, control over how others see you and how you see yourself. Because here's what most folks miss. The person who tries to embarrass you isn't looking for a laugh. They're looking for leverage. They want to see you squirm. They want to interrupt your confidence mid-sentence. They want to steal the moment from your hands and rewrite it with their fingerprints all over it. And if they can do it in front of others, even better, because then they control not just you, but the entire narrative. Imagine someone holding a puppet in one hand and a crowd in the other. They pull your strings with jabs, sarcasm, passive-aggressive advice, and all the while they scan the room, waiting for the audience to laugh, to nod, to silently agree. That's the high they're chasing, not humor, dominance. And if you don't know what's happening, you'll laugh along too, not realizing you just handed them the strings. But here's the catch. Their power doesn't come from what they say. It comes from how you react. That's the trick. They say something humiliating, then they pause. They wait for your silence, your forced smile, your awkward chuckle. That moment. That's the moment they win. Not because the insult was clever, but because you didn't stop it. And no, this isn't about being confrontational. It's not about yelling or turning the table over. This is where Stoicism separates you from the chaos. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When someone tries to humiliate you to gain control, the greatest rebellion isn't retaliation, it's refusal. Refusal to flinch, refusal to validate, refusal to play their game. Because here's the thing, toxic people thrive off your reaction. They don't just enjoy the insult, they enjoy watching it land, watching you question yourself, watching you freeze up. That's how they keep you beneath them. That's how they create a false sense of superiority, by manufacturing your weakness. But once you stop reacting the way they expect, the spell breaks. The puppet strings fall. But let's be honest, it's not always easy. When someone humiliates you, especially in public, it triggers a deep instinct to defend, to explain, to restore your image. You want to say something, fix something, make the room see the truth. But here's what Stoicism teaches. Your worth isn't up for public debate. You don't need to win the room. You only need to hold the line. And the real line isn't drawn out loud, it's drawn in your energy. When you stop giving them what they want, they lose interest. Because they're not actually interested in you, they're interested in controlling you. Once that's gone, they move on, like a child bored with a toy that no longer lights up. They were never seeking connection, they were seeking control, and now they have none. So what does this look like in real life? It looks like staying calm when they try to bait you. It looks like not laughing at the joke made at your expense. It looks like holding eye contact with zero reaction. Not anger, not amusement, just clarity. It looks like not following up with explanations or justifications. It looks like walking away when the energy turns sour and doing it without apology. That, right there, is real control. Not over others, but over yourself. And that's what Stoicism arms you with. Not armor to deflect every insult, but the strength to not absorb what was never yours. You were not born to be manipulated, controlled, or diminished so someone else can feel big. You were not made to be someone's emotional punching bag just because they haven't learned how to face their own reflection. So comment this right now. I am not yours to control. Write it, own it, show the world you've cut the strings. Because in the next section, we're going to reveal what happens when they finally realize their favorite game, the one they played for years, is no longer working on you. Stay with me. Number 5. They're used to getting away with it, and nobody's stopped them before. The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch and do nothing. Let's be honest, some people don't just humiliate others because they're hurting or insecure. Some do it because they've been doing it for years, and no one ever held them accountable. They've made it a habit, a lifestyle, a reflex. They've gotten away with disrespect so many times, it no longer feels wrong. It feels normal. It's just how they are, right? Wrong. It's how they've been allowed to be. See, toxic behavior doesn't survive without silence. It feeds on it. Every time someone shrugged it off, every time someone said, "Oh, that's just their personality," or "They don't really mean it," they got stronger, more confident, more bold. They turned those unchecked jabs into full-blown takedowns. They turned little jokes into full-on power plays. Why? Because no one stopped them. And if no one ever drew the line, they forgot one even existed. Now you walk into that space, maybe a family gathering, a team meeting, a friend group, and suddenly they try it with you. A sarcastic remark, a harmless insult in front of others, and everyone laughs, because everyone always has. But inside your chest tightens, your mind starts spinning. You wonder if maybe you're just too sensitive. You question whether it's even worth responding. That's the trap they've built. Doubt so deep it convinces you to stay silent. But what if your silence is the exact thing they've been counting on? Let's break a hard truth. Being the bigger person is often glorified in all the wrong ways. We're told to take the high road, to not stoop to their level. But no one tells us that the high road isn't always silence. Sometimes the high road is holding your ground. Sometimes it's setting a boundary so firm it echoes through the room. Sometimes it's being the first person who finally says, "That's not okay, not anymore." You see, what you tolerate becomes a pattern, and what becomes a pattern eventually becomes a culture. The workplace culture, the family dynamic, the friend group banter. What starts as one person being humiliated becomes a tradition if no one stops it. And here's what Stoicism reminds us. You may not be able to change the past, but you can stop participating in the present. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be one." In other words, stop debating whether they're wrong. Stop hoping someone else will step in. You already know the truth. And deep down, so do they. But here's the challenge. When you're the first one to say no, It's going to feel uncomfortable. People might look at you like you're the problem. They'll say you're overreacting, that you're too serious. Why? Because you've broken the script. You've interrupted the dynamic. You're not playing your part. And when you stop playing your part, you make everyone else question why they've been playing theirs. But that's where the courage lives. You weren't put here to continue cycles of silent abuse. You weren't born to endure jabs dressed as jokes. You are not a character in someone else's comedy skit. You're a human being with dignity, and that dignity doesn't need approval to exist. It just needs your permission to finally rise. So yes, maybe they've gotten away with it before, but they won't with you. Not anymore. Because the moment you hold your ground, even in silence, even without drama, you send a message to them, to everyone watching, and most importantly, to yourself. A message that says, I'm not here to be laughed at. I'm not here to be controlled. I'm not here to keep pretending this is okay. And when you do that, something incredible happens. The people who used to test you hesitate. The ones who laughed along feel a little less certain. The energy shifts, because they've been waiting for someone to raise the bar, to call out what everyone felt, but no one dared to say. Comment this right now. Not anymore. Let it be your line in the sand. Let it be the end of their pattern and the beginning of your power. Because in the next section, we'll talk about the ultimate boundary, the invisible line that defines your relationships, and how, when you finally draw it, your entire life begins to change. Stay with me. Number 6, you never set the standard, so they set it for you. When you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Here's the quiet truth that stings the most. If you don't set the standard for how you're treated, someone else will. And trust me, they won't set it high. They'll test the waters with a joke at your expense. You'll laugh. Then they'll push further. You'll stay quiet. Eventually, disrespect becomes routine. Not because you deserved it, but because you never interrupted it. People don't always cross lines to hurt you. Sometimes they cross them to see if the line is even real. And if you never draw it, they assume it doesn't exist. So the little things keep adding up. Until one day, you realize you're living in a space that no longer feels like it belongs to someone who knows their worth. But it's never too late to reset the rules. You don't need to yell, you don't need to prove a point. You just need to change your energy, change your response, and change your silence into a quiet standard. Stoicism isn't about being passive, it's about being precise. You show people where the line is, not by arguing, but by refusing to move it for anyone. And when you do, everything shifts. The people who can't respect it disappear. The ones who do rise with you. So comment, I set the standard below if you're done letting others define your worth. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to draw the line today, because the moment you claim your space is the moment you stop being their target and start becoming the example.